Hey yo, how's it going? Hope all is well, especially during these times that we're in. Welcome to episode 2 of GFS Locked In Podcast. We have a very special guest on this podcast today. It's my guy and it's my brother, Machar Machar. He's currently playing for Southern Tigers. Number 2, my guy. How's it going? How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Yeah, I'm doing good, bro. I'm doing good. So hey, let's get this podcast rocking. Let's get it started. So let's go back to the roots of your journey and how it all started for you. Tell us a little bit about it, bro.
Man, so I actually started off in track and soccer. Those were my first sports that I played. I picked up basketball pretty late. It was one of those situations where like I moved to a certain area and all my friends from that area were playing basketball. So I decided to, just take it on. Not like nothing too serious like to begin with. And then once I fell out of like the soccer situation, I kind of just found myself at the park like every day, like after school, just playing basketball like with my friends. And then started playing as a second year 16s at Centrals. That's obviously where I met you.
Yeah.
You, your brother, like your whole family. So that's where my journey started.
Man, that's dope, bro. Hey, how long have we known each other for now? Like about 13 years now?
Yeah, a little bit over a decade now.
Yeah, that's crazy. Let's talk about, with basketball, starting at Centrals. How was that experience and how was your journey with Centrals at the time?
So first getting into club basketball, I didn't really understand like the different levels between like the divisions and stuff. So I think I started off in like Division 3 for about 2 games, and then I got moved up to Division 2. And then eventually once I moved up to under 18s, that's when I started playing like Division 1 and stuff. So it was kind of like I didn't really take it serious until the second year under 18s.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a pretty fun time. I'm not gonna lie. Like it's pretty fun to see like just the levels. Like obviously playing Division 3 to begin with. I didn't really know what that meant at the time. Division 3, like I was like, okay, I'll play. Had fun with it, moved up Division 2. And then that's basically as you progress, you start to see like, okay, these guys are kind of better. They just know the game just a little bit better, like so.
Yeah, true. And obviously we see in the league you're known for Mr. Hops, basically, right? When did you start? When was your first dunk? When did you first start to dunk?
My first dunk actually came before I took basketball serious. So growing up, I was pretty athletic. Like I was always one of the most athletic kids in school, like year level. Like so, my first in-game dunk came as a first year 18. Yeah, 18s. I just didn't really get the opportunity to dunk it in the game until one time I just went up on a fast break. I didn't realize I was high enough until I was there, and I was like, "Oh, I can just put this in," and then I dunked it. Yeah, the whole bench went crazy. Everyone in the gym went crazy. It was fun. It was fun as. Ever since then, I've just been trying to get as many dunks as I can, in games now. So.
No, that's dope, bro. And so were you playing with? This was the time that you were playing with Keskia and with Kia and all the boys, right?
Mm-hmm. Around there, yep.
Yeah, that's what's up. Shout out to those guys.
Shout out.
But so when you were in Centrals, how long was it before you went to college?
So the college thing didn't really it didn't occur to me that like people could just go to college at that time. I had no idea about the whole college system. So I kind of had to educate myself. I think I was a second year 18s. And then a coach, Janky was, Andrew Janky.
Yeah.
He was like, "Oh, have you talked to anyone about like college?" And I was like, "No," because like I said, I didn't really take it serious.
Right.
Like at that time, I was just playing because my friends were. So
Yeah.
um, after I spoke with him, I made that one of my goals to go to college, and then a few years after that, I was
Yeah.
off.
No, that's dope, bro. Look, let's talk a little bit about. So pretty much, you were playing in Centrals the whole time, and then that's when you transitioned over to college, or did you
So
move clubs in between?
I moved when I started youth league. I moved to Sturt.
Yeah.
So I played a season of youth league there before I left.
Yeah, that's crazy. All right, let's talk college. So here we go, entering into college. Which school did you attend? And talk to us about, what you learned in college. What was the biggest thing you learned between the culture playing here in Australia as opposed to what it is over in America?
So I attended Midland College, which is a junior college, out in West Texas.
Yeah,
Um, Straight away from the first interaction I had with the coaches and the players, I noticed like the coaching style is very different compared to here, and the style of play as well. Um, their style of play is very fast, which I like. Like I like playing up and down. I like playing fast. Um, and obviously, like the coaching is something else. Coaches, they get on you for like little things. Like they tell you straight up, like obviously when you're in JUCO, like the goal is to get to that next level, is to go to like a Division 1 school, like a 4-year school. Coaches tell you straight up, like you're not going. If you continue to have
yeah,
these habits, like you're not going D1. They'll just be straight up with you, like. So that's one thing I noticed, just how the coaches kind of make guys accountable.
100.
Because they, at the end of the day, like the coaches care about the players, so they want everyone else to obviously get to the next level. They're trying to get to the next level as well. Like junior college coaches are trying to get to coach at Division 1 level, so
Yeah, 100%.
they're very strict, and it helps.
Yeah,
It helps have coaches like that.
100%. And you definitely got to have that accountability. You got to have that coach that will be just straight up honest with you and let you know how it is. Because,
Yeah,
it's better to know that and progress than not to know that and not progress at all whatsoever.
yeah, they
So
will.
that's,
Yeah,
yeah,
they're not gonna lie to you if they see you have like a 2.0 like GPA, they're gonna tell you like that's not gonna be acceptable at the next level.
100%. And also, what was training like too? Because there's a lot of guys here in Australia that are trying to go over to college that might not know what to expect.
hmm
What can you tell them about the trainings when it comes to college?
So when I first got there, obviously there were guys there that were there from the summertime, so they were there like 2-3 months before me. So when I got there, it was straight into preseason. Like we're doing 3 days for like 3 months. Waking up at 6 a.m. We're doing weights. We have team practice at like around anywhere between 12 to 2 p.m. And then we got individuals at like 7 p.m. So we're doing that every single day. And
Yeah, I
that
bet.
was that was the first time I heard of a 3 a day. Like, I didn't know what that was. Like, oh yeah, we got 3 days. I'm like, 3 days? What's that? And then you come to find out it takes a while to kind of like adjust to, because we don't really have like enough trainings here. To kind of like you train with a club, you're training twice a week,
Yeah, 100%.
and if the ones who are trying to really progress in the sport, they're obviously doing their own little individual stuff, like on a daily,
Yeah,
shooting, like shooting with a friend, working out with a coach, like multiple coaches.
yeah,
So that's one thing that was kind of a shock to me, like to see how hard it was, like at the beginning, like the amount of work you had to put in to kind of, you know, get into the rotation of the team. And
yeah,
some guys fell off. Some guys just couldn't keep up. Some
yeah,
guys after 2 months they just go home because they can't do it. So yeah, it's tough out there, man.
yeah. It is, bro. It is. And like, so obviously, us both having experience over in college. How did you? Because home, you do get homesick. There are times where you kind of tend to miss home a bit.
For sure.
What was that driving force that kept you going, even though there's times and moments where you're like, man, kind of miss home, kind of miss the home cooked food, or basically
Yeah.
all the above. What was the driving force behind you staying in college and continuing your path?
Well, my mindset at the time was I'm pursuing something. Me going back home at the time wasn't going to get me to where I was trying to go. So I just kept reminding myself, like, you're here for a reason. Just keep pushing.
Yeah, straight up, no, 100%. And you already know that your family's there for you, and I think
Always, family's
that's the
always going to be
biggest
there.
part. Yeah, 100%. And so how in your first year, how did your college season go?
So I actually got hurt in a preseason game, which kept me out my whole season, like my whole freshman year. Um, so when I was coming back and doing rehab, I was working a lot on my jump shot. I wasn't really a good shooter back then, but I made a conscious effort to work on my form. You know, like just different types of like jump shots, like shooting off a curl, shooting off a flare, off the dribble shooting, like deep threes, just everything to expand my shooting because I couldn't really do much at the time. I couldn't really move laterally, so I kind of had to find a way to stay engaged and feel like I'm not wasting my time over there. Because I could have just sat down and just not do anything, like
Yeah,
let my cardio just plummet. So I made sure my cardio was always straight, and I worked on my jump shooting a lot.
yeah, 100, bro. And again, for those who are aiming to go to college, speak to them a little bit about the importance of the GPA, like what it means to make sure that you're staying on top of your grades, and what would happen if if you're not looking after your GPA.
So basically, um, every 4 year school has like a standard. Um, it kind of varies. So basically, if you're a recruitable guy, if a coach comes to the school, he'll ask the coach, "Hey, what's his GPA?" And if it's lower than the standard, they're not gonna even like look at you anymore. They're not even gonna try. They're just gonna be like, "We'll just go find someone else," because they know you kind of have to. The same effort you put on the court is kind of the same effort you have to put into the classroom. Because at the end of the day,
Facts.
you're in school as well. It's not just basketball. You're actually studying. So there's gonna be you gotta keep your GPA to a certain standard, a passing standard.
100%. And also another thing that you guys got to make sure that you guys stay on top of. So this is what would happen if your GPA plummets. If it lowers down, you basically have to sit out the second semester. You can't. You can only be there to train. You can't even go on road trips or do any of that. And you have to try and make sure that your second semester is propelled with your GPA in order for you to play your sophomore year or whatever year you're playing at the time. So I think the difference over between what I'll notice with here in Australia compared to what it is over in America is the accountability. Like over here, coach will have a chat with you and stuff, and you go through trainings and prep up for the games, but that's it. But over in America, your coaches, like for example, when I was at Lake State, my coach would like always be standing at the door waiting for there was this thing called Laker time, and you
Like
basically had
time.
to be in class 10 minutes before class started.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they were always on our backside. And if one person was late, we'd have to rock up to the gym at like 10:30 p.m. just to do sprints.
Don't
And
be that guy.
yeah, straight up, straight up. And so that was your first year. How long were you over in America all in total?
So I was only there for a year. So when I
Mm-hmm.
came back for the summer, there was a few complications with the other school I was gonna go attend.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I had done all my credits to transfer to a 4 year school. Um, but basically, the one of the coaches, multiple coaches actually got they didn't have their jobs anymore, so kind of made the recruiting a bit difficult for me.
Yeah.
Because obviously, when a school hires a new coach, sometimes they're like, "Yeah, we don't really know this guy. We like, I don't know if we should just bring him in or." Because the old coach was one that recruited me, so
Right.
once his job goes, it's kind of like your letter of intent is kind of like invalid, like in a way.
Yeah.
So I basically just decided to stay back in Australia till I could figure something out.
Yeah. And how was that dealing with that mentally for you? Was it like, it is what it is and I'm just gonna try and make the most of whatever opportunity comes my way next, or how did you have to make that adjustment?
So it was the process was a few months. Like I was still talking to coaches, still trying to get like my credits like transferred over. It was just at the time it was just too much to keep up with. Um, it kind of obviously like hurt a little bit because obviously I set myself some goals years before I even went to America.
Right.
So at the time, it kind of hurt, but I kind of just saw it as this could be good for me, like staying back here and trying to go do a different path. So I just took it as that. Like at the end of the day,
Yeah.
like
Straight up.
kind of like like it is what it is.
Yeah. 100. So now you've transitioned back home. Let's talk a little bit about what was happening in the few months when you got back home. What was the process?
Obviously, like I still held the vision. I was still continuing to like improve my game at all aspects. Nothing ever drove me away from the like the end goal, like where I'm trying to go.
Yeah.
I still under any circumstance, I still continue to work on my game. Like that's really all you can do. Like
Yeah. 100%, bro. Straight up. And so, as we keep moving forward, like obviously, your history plays a big part in the passion and love that you have for the game. How much did your family play a big part in your basketball career?
So that's a funny question. So in my basketball career, my parents haven't really been involved in a way. Like my parents haven't even seen me play a game yet of basketball.
Dang.
They're always, like my mom, like she's always busy. Like she can never come out to a Friday night game. Like, when you're playing juniors, you're playing Friday nights.
Yeah.
She can never come out because she's always working. But they're always giving me words of encouragement. Because obviously I tell them my goals. I tell them what I'm trying to do. So it helps to know, like, even though they can't be there physically, it's kind of like it's good to know that they can be there with me, like just giving me words of encouragement, like wisdom,
100%.
just just general life lessons. So it's cool. But
Yeah.
they always push me to play sports, like when I was younger. So appreciate them for that.
Yeah, bro. Most definitely. So, speaking of life lessons, what has basketball taught you in regards to life lessons?
You get out what you put in.
Preach.
No, straight up, like simple. Like
Yeah.
you get out what you put in. You can never cheat the game of life of basketball. You can't. There's no shortcuts. So that's what sports in general taught me. Like
Yeah.
even at a young age, like even when I was doing track meets, like you can't not put in the work, expect to go out there and beat guys that have been training for months just for one like event. You know what I mean?
100%, bro.
It's you have to know you put in the work. You got to be confident in yourself. Like you have to be honest with yourself as well. Like if you know you're not putting in like enough work, like it's cool. Like you have to recognize it, like reevaluate the situation, and then make adjustments, and then move forward. So
Yeah.
that's what sports in general has taught me. Like
Yeah. No, that's dope, bro. And it's just awesome. Like when you reflect back and look back at, not only just the game of basketball and your journey so far, but like also what the life lessons have been learned, because
Hmm.
it applies to everything, not only just on the court, but even outside of the basketball court as well,
For
which is
sure.
which is awesome. So let's move on to, so basically after that, you now are playing at Southern, right?
Yeah, Southern
When you
Tigers.
came back. So talk to us a little bit about how it came to be, how you found your spot on Southern Tigers.
So years prior, I've been playing like in the state. So I played a season in Melbourne. I played Big V in Melbourne, um, which is it's a pretty competitive league.
Yeah.
So I've been kind of like bouncing around from like city to city. Um, but then this past season, I wasn't sure because I had moved to Melbourne for about 2 years. I wasn't
Right.
sure whether I was going to continue to play in Melbourne or come back to my home city of Adelaide and try playing the league here.
Right.
Obviously, we know what happened like the COVID year in Melbourne. There was no season.
Yeah.
I had a team. I had an NBL one team in Melbourne. And then when they canceled the season, it was kind of like this was my like this was my shot,
Yeah.
to kind
Straight
of
up.
showcase what I got like after all the injuries and whatnot. So that kind of hurt. I came back to Adelaide because COVID over in Melbourne was just getting too crazy. Like there was no gyms open, there was no restaurants open. Like you literally couldn't do anything. And
Yeah.
then Adelaide kind of looked, a little less like harsh with the restrictions.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, I'm gonna come back to Adelaide for a while, um, see how it goes down. Like if the situation in Melbourne kind of opens up again, I'll probably move back. If not, I'll just stay here. But I did want to stay in Adelaide, like for the record,
Yeah.
though. Like guys,
Yeah.
you know. So approaching the season, like I was still doing work in the off season. So like around October, November,
Hmm.
I'm still working. At this point, I have no team. I'm not talking to any coaches. I'm still continuing to work on my game. So I come out to Adelaide. I talked to a few teams, here and there. Kind of wasn't liking the situation.
Yep.
And then a friend of mine was training at Southern Tigers, and he was like, yeah, just come out, talk to the coach, just tell him your situation, and yeah, like it literally took maybe 2 training sessions for the coach. Shout out to Coach Dave, by the way.
Yeah.
Um, Dave Morrell, the coach of Southern Tigers. I spoke to him, told him my situation, um, and after the first 2 trainings, he was like, "Yeah, like we want you to be a important piece of this team," and that's all I needed to hear at the time. So after that, we just went to work.
Yeah. No, that's awesome, bro. That's really cool. And let's talk about this because a lot of players do struggle with this. I'm sure you probably heard with the Kemji's podcast of the terms of politics in the
Okay.
game of basketball, and politics is everywhere in life in general. Whether it be work, sports, school, whatever the case may be. But because we know, and I personally know from the conversations that we had that that Southern Tigers seems to be your home. Like this is your club, and you just love playing here for Southern Tigers. What is it like to be able to find the team that matches your game, and where you can find a coach that allows you to do what you do best on the court?
You just have to really embrace that opportunity, because there probably wouldn't be more opportunities out there like that. It just seemed to fit perfect, like the style of play he likes to run. It kind of matched with what I like. Um, so like when it comes to the politics, it's kind of like you're gonna get politics in all aspects of life.
Yeah, straight up.
Um, as it pertains to like basketball, because I've been subject to a lot of like politics. Like you go to a club and like the coach knows like some of the parents or something, like they cool off the court. Like
Yeah,
coaches won't really give you like an opportunity.
yeah,
Um, there's a lot of situations where I've been on teams, not really getting the opportunity to play, and there's players on the team kind of talking to me like, hey, like how come you're not getting, you know, like the opportunity? I'm just like,
yeah,
I don't know. At the end of the day, I'm still gonna come to training, play as hard as I can in training, whatever opportunity I get on the court, like take that. Just try to play at my best at all times. Never let like you never want to be the guy that's like, let's say sixth, seventh, or eighth guy like off the bench, and like you're not putting in like the work. That just makes the coach not want to trust you even
yeah,
more, like as it is. So you just got to be, like, you just got to take every opportunity you get.
yeah. No, 100%, bro. I definitely agree. And so, obviously, we see on your team right now, you guys have Cameron Coleman, you got Coop, you got Worm. Talk to us a little bit about all your teammates, and how much it is a blessing to be on the same squad as they are and go to war every night on the court.
Man, I had fun this year. Regardless on like the end result, I had fun. It's probably one of the best times I've had playing the game, just in terms of like the teammates and like the characters on the team, different personalities and stuff. Um, no, it's cool. Like someone like Cam Coleman, like plays both ends, like has no let up. Like he's just a competitor. I learned a lot from him just from watching him.
Yeah,
Um, I always try to get him to teach me some like little tricks that he does to kind of get away with certain things. Coop, he's another great teammate. Like comes in, does his job. Very very vocal. Nick Worm, same thing. Very vocal. Runs the team. Yeah, I had fun, man.
yeah,
I had
and
fun with those guys.
yeah, 100, bro. And looking at your team, the team is quite young. When we look at the roster for the Southern Tigers, how exciting is it? Heading into next season, with a bunch of young guys who've experienced a lot from this year and moving forward onto the next season.
Um, like the only way is up. Like we can only just
Yeah,
continue to keep getting better. Like I felt like this year, like there was a lot of preseason polls that like came out with like where they think teams are gonna finish and all that. We weren't even in the discussion to make the finals. People counted us out a little, but
yeah,
we didn't care. Like you guys still gonna have to play against us.
yeah,
Um,
straight up.
so we just took that as like motivation. Like every night, nearly every game, I think we were like the underdog. Even when we had that like second spot, like on the ladder, we'd go into games being the underdog. So
Yeah,
it's one of those situations where like we have a young team, we have like a lot of guys that were like in the development team. So they're only going to get better. I
yeah,
trust everyone is
straight
going to
up.
put in the necessary work in the off season to up their game, work on things that they aren't great at, um, and just come back next season and just hoop,
Yeah, 100, bro, straight up. And as we look at not only what's going on with Southern, and as we move on heading on to next season, I think one of the questions that I have for you is because this is a lot of struggles that many athletes do face. And
Mhm.
what would your advice be for someone that does struggle before games? They sometimes they'll have a great game, sometimes they won't. Talk to us a little bit about routine and what do you do to prepare yourself for games?
So everyone has, pre-game rituals, things they do pre-game. My pre-game stuff actually starts the day before the game. I feel like kind of helps me to get into the right like mind space. Like, so we play Saturday nights, Friday night, I'm on my laptop scouting, like just looking at my matchup, um, looking at the best games they had, seeing where they had success, seeing where they didn't. Just, just little things. So it really
Yeah,
starts like, for me, it really starts like the day before. And then obviously game day comes, try to get your game day shots up like in the morning, like at noon, like whenever you can.
yeah,
I felt like when I went away from my routine, I didn't have the best success in the game. So I try to stick to the routine as much as possible. Um, for guys that struggle, I think it just comes back to just the mental aspect of things, like being mentally tough for the game of basketball. You kind of have to realize like there's only certain things you can like control. Like,
yeah. Straight up.
so you got to come out every game. If you're playing good defense, you're trying to like rebound the ball. You can't really have a bad game. Like, you can't have a bad game playing defense if the efforts are there.
Yeah,
Um,
straight up.
you can have bad shooting games. I've had bad shooting games this year, but I made sure the effort was still there. Like defensively, just trying to execute the right plays, and yeah, it's all mental. I kind of feel like you got to go through it like
Yeah,
a lot though. Like you can't really buy experience. You kind of just have
yeah,
to go through it.
straight up.
Um, so yeah, that's pretty much it, man. Like if you're mentally tough in knowing like, okay, um, coach has me playing this many minutes. I'm only getting this many shots. Not every shot is gonna fall. You're gonna have terrible games sometimes,
Yeah,
or like offensively, but you got to make sure you're doing everything else right, and it shows.
yeah, 100%, bro. I think routine plays a huge role. You know, it could be as simple as listening to music. What music you listen to all the time before games.
Yep,
You can't listen to hip hop and then after that next week you listen to country music. Like,
doesn't make sense.
yeah, it doesn't make sense at all. So, you got to find a routine that suits, that gets you going and gets you mentally locked in. Some people may read a book, some people may meditate, some
Hmm.
people may pray. There's a lot of things that a lot of athletes do. You just got to find out what works for you. And then,
For sure,
you can progress off from that.
for
Um,
sure.
let's look at your family, bro. Obviously, your two younger brothers are in the league as well. One's playing for Forestville and the other's playing for West. As a big older brother to your two younger brothers, I'm assuming it's a special moment for you to be able to witness the progressions of your younger brothers.
Yeah, it's great to see. Like a few years ago, like you know, we were just working out together, like at gyms, and it's funny how we end up on like all different teams. People are trying
Yeah,
to get us to play together and stuff. Like, but it's you got to realize like there's different opportunities for different people. I feel like every situation, for me and my brothers, is the right situation currently.
yeah,
Um, so no, it's cool to see. It's cool to see like people like you live with. You go out Saturday night and they're on the other team.
yeah,
It's yeah, it's fun. I had fun. I had fun this year playing against them.
yeah. No, that's awesome, bro. That's mad. And moving forward. So we know that you've got a place here at South. I think what are the two biggest things you're looking forward to next season, or you are the most excited about heading into next season?
Just another opportunity to go out there and compete. Um, Most people don't know, like I've been kind of away from the game for about 2 years due to like injuries. So coming back, I kind of forgot what it was like to compete like every night. Um, so that was fun. Um, Heading into next season, like I felt like I might have a bigger role next year. So I gotta be up for the challenge.
Yes, sir.
So I'm doing all the necessary things right now to prepare myself for next year. Continuing to work on my game.
Yeah.
Talking to different skills coaches about where I can improve, what they see from my games. I talk to you all the time.
Yeah.
I just hit you up like after a game. Like if I had a bad game, like I kind of talk to you, kind of like asking like what did you see? Because obviously it's a different perspective to when you're watching it, and obviously when I'm playing, like
100.
it's completely different. It's good to get like multiple opinions.
Yeah, most definitely, bro. And before we continue on with the podcast, let's talk a little bit about injuries, because I've actually had a lot of injuries myself. Many people, when it comes to injuries, they either get over the hump and get past rehab and get back on the court, as opposed to some athletes, once they get injured, it's basically a wrap.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's always that fear in mind that it's going to happen again.
It's going to happen again, yeah.
So, take us through the process of your injury and how you had to overcome, the fear factor side of things.
So for me, coming back, I never rush it.
Yeah.
Like I make sure I'm 100% ready to play. Like, you gotta obviously seeing the right people helps, because people tell you different things. Like you gotta go to multiple people. You gotta get multiple opinions on like injuries. So for my injuries, I had multiple ligaments torn in my left ankle, like multiple times, which kept me out for for 1 year, kept me out like the whole year. So coming back, I made sure, go through the rehab, take time off, continue to go see your physio. And obviously, like, no one knows your body more than you do. So you kind of have to listen. You kind of have to listen to your body. Sometimes a physio will tell you, okay, you're good to go, but sometimes like you're still hurting. So you kind of have to listen to your body. It's tough. Like some guys, they get injured, and that's it for them. Like they can't get over the mental, like, oh, I'm gonna do it again. For me, like, because I've been so active, like my whole life. I've had many minor injuries, so it's kind of like once it's time, so yeah, I just tell guys like don't rush it. Like it's hard to watch sports and just sit on the sideline. Like I missed my first game this season because of injury. I didn't play the first game, and it was hard to watch because I just wanted to be out there and competing. I could have easily just told coach, "Hey, I'm ready. Let me suit up." But that wasn't going to be in the best interest of the team. So yeah, I just tell guys, just take your time with it. Ease into things. Like don't go straight from rehabbing to playing straight away. You want to go from rehab to just taking a little bit more time off. Working out, getting your cardio back, and then you start, competitively training and stuff.
No, 100%, bro. And, appreciate you sharing that wisdom, because for me, you already knew what happened with me while I was over in America. Obviously had a compound fracture in my lower right leg.
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest thing that I had to come to terms with was the fact that I will never be able to play the same way, because after I recovered, you're always, you're coming back and you're like, man, I can get up again, I can dunk again.
Mm-hmm.
But then, there was a couple of times that I felt a little bit awkward at Lake State.
Yeah.
And, every time that would happen, it's like a flashback. And, it would just keep happening over and over again. And, sometimes when you look at that, you kind of start to sit down and think, okay, what if? Or like, what happens down the road if, 10, 20 years, will I end up in a wheelchair or not? Do I want my kids to be pushing me around in a wheelchair, or, stuff like that. And sometimes you have to think ahead, but I think what you said is spot on. Like, it is important that you're making sure that you're looking after your body and taking your time. There's no
Cliche as
limit
it
to rehab.
sounds. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And it's better for you to come back 110% than to come back 85, 90%.
Exactly.
It's just not worth it. So, you got to do whatever you got to do to make sure you're looking after your body. At the end of the day, your coaches are looking out for you. Your
Mm-hmm.
coaches do understand. And that's just the nature of the game of basketball. And I think it's awesome because, to see it from your aspect as opposed to seeing it from my aspect, I hope, people that are watching this can actually learn something from it and, apply it to their journey if they're going through injuries and whatnot. Because, yeah, it is awesome that we all love playing the game of basketball. It's a great game to play. It's great to be competitive. But at the same time as well, there's more important things to life than playing the game of basketball. And, like you've already learned along your journey, health is first before
Number one.
anything else. So I think that's definitely important to make sure that you're looking after your body, looking after your health. You got to listen to your body. If something ain't right, go and see a physio. Go and
Yep.
see whoever you got to see to make sure that your body's 100%. Because
Exactly.
you don't want to rock up on the court and not say anything, and then all of a sudden something bad happens. But
Straight up, man.
So as we come towards the end of the podcast, there are a few questions that a couple of people were asking and wanted to ask you. So I'll pop those questions up. So we have my guy Jazzle. His question was, how does it feel to be playing at a high level? Because this guy is only young and his actual aim is to make it into, semi-pro level. So, talk to us a little bit about how it feels.
It's good knowing like you're going out playing against like the very best at that time. So the level I'm playing at right now, like MBO1, it's a pretty tough comp. Like you got veterans that have been playing at this level for 10, 15 plus, like longer than I've been playing basketball. You know what I mean?
Yeah, ever since my time, basically.
Yeah. So it's real good to like compete.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just the competitive aspect. Like that's probably my favorite. Just going out there every night. You have an assignment, stick to it, and hopefully come out with a W.
Yeah, straight up. I got a couple actually from Showtime Lowell. His two questions were, we'll start off with the first one. What motivates you to keep going?
What motivates me to keep going? Obviously the love for the game. Like
Yeah.
that's for me. That's number one. Like I actually love playing the game. So regardless on if I'm having bad days, bad weeks, bad games or whatever, like I still love the game of basketball. So that just that is enough for me to keep pushing.
Yeah, 100, bro. And his second question was, what's your plan basketball-wise in the next 2 to 3 years?
Well, obviously continue to keep getting better, like individually. That's never gonna be like that's just like that's always gonna be like number one for me. Just continue to keep getting better.
Yeah.
Obviously, playing at the highest level possible. Yeah, those are the main things.
Straight up. So, a couple of questions and then we'll wrap it up. My first question to you is, what advice have you got for, someone that's young and has the ambition to want to make it as far as they can? You've been through it all. You're still on that journey and that pathway onto bigger and better things down the road. What would your advice or encouragement be to these, to the younger guys and girls?
Basically, it's gonna be tough. You're not always gonna have the best day. But everyone's path is different. Don't look at someone else's path and see like that's the only way. Like everyone's path is different. Situations are always going to change. You know, you're not always going to have the best situation. And just make sure the goal is the same. Like the goal is to continue to keep getting better individually, keep moving up the ranks of every single level. So that's my thing.
Yeah. Well, bro, lastly, have you got any shout outs, for any of your loved ones, for your teammates, for whoever?
Firstly, I just want to say shout out to you, man, for having this platform to have,
Appreciate
athletes come on here, just have a general conversation. Shout out to Southern Tigers. Shout out to everyone that's going through a journey, that's going to go through a journey, that's been through a journey. It's tough. It's very tough. That's basically it, man.
Yeah, no, appreciate you, bro. And no, I think the beauty of this platform that we have right now is it's crazy how people underestimate stories. Like for me, like growing up, like obviously my grandma was my inspiration playing the game of basketball. But when you hear stories about from Shaq, LeBron, D Wade, all these players that you look up to, there's just something about stories that just hit you differently.
Mm-hmm.
And it pushes you in a different direction. It's like, when I was hearing about D Wade growing up Southside Chicago, and what he had to battle through, and the incident that happened with his mom, like for me it was like, dang, like, and now that he's given back to not only his family, he's given back to the community. He's doing everything that he can to even help even the young athletes coming up in the NBA as well. Like that's the type of stuff that hit me differently, and I was like, man, maybe one day hopefully I can do something like that where I can give back to the community and stuff like that. So this is what the podcast is all about. Hopefully you guys can relate to some of it, relate to what Machar and Kimji and all the guys and girls that are coming on this podcast as well. Hopefully you can take something from it, apply it to your journey, because something that they may have gone through is something you might be going through, either now or later down the road. And, you always got to be a sponge. You always got to be willing to learn the game of basketball from guys who are where you want to be, or even guys who are, next level up. So, bro, it's always a pleasure having this moment to be able to chat with you, be able to learn more about your journey. And, bro, I'm sure your story is going to be a blessing to many out there. And hopefully, they can take something out of this. But apart from that, though, bro, appreciate your time. Appreciate you. And
thank you.
Yeah, we'll be chatting real soon.
For sure, man. Appreciate everything.
Yes, sir. So that's pretty much episode 2. It's funny, huh? Episode 2, you're number 2. Crazy how that works.
2 times. That is crazy. Up. Was that by design, or was that just how it happened?
It's just how it happened, bro.
Man, it's tough.
That's just how it happened. Because it's funny, because I was having a conversation with Kimji. Kimji was, saying something in regards to that. And then after that, when I was like episode 2, and then after that, I was like, hey, his number's number 2 as well. That's crazy.
Crazy. That's crazy.
Straight up.
Episode 2, number 2.
Done. Out of the way with, bro. Hey, but if you're new to the channel, be sure to like, subscribe, comment, also hit that notification button so when you get the notification, you know what's already up and coming your way. Apart from that, though, hey, stay blessed. Make sure you're taking care of your loved ones, checking up on them always. Apart from that, though, have fun playing the game of basketball. Continue to enjoy the journey, and we'll catch you guys on the next episode.